Over the last year or so, violence against Asian Americans has become a thing, which sucks. I wish there was some kind of group that would make it easier for Asian Americans to defend themselves. Oh, wait, there is. Here today are the leaders of the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association with a big announcement. Breaking news coming up.
But first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there's no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Gun owners should have coverage for the legal battles after your self-defense battle. While you protect your family and protect U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year with a comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. And guess what, Gun Owners Radio listeners? You can get a free T-shirt when you join. Use promo code GunOwnersRadio at uslawshield.com. All right.
So we have breaking news. So the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association has chosen Gun Owners Radio to announce their formation, and we have their board members here, including Chris Chang on the line. Chris, you there?
Yes. Hey, good afternoon, and happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. And we also already introduced Amy. Amy Dillon's here, board member.
Hi, everyone. Amy Dillon here.
And our own Melissa Lee, who everybody knows and loves.
Thank you.
And then, of course, Patrick Lopez. You're here as well.
Hello,
Patrick. You guys are all founders of the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association, which is, it's APAGOA, right?
APAGOA.
Okay, APAGOA.
What we're trying to use.
Somebody told me it was APAGOA. In any case.
I wonder who.
Yeah, that's me. Like, I'm lazy, and I don't want to say APAGOA. And he scolds me every time, and that's why he says, "I wonder who told you that."
The Asian Pacific American Gun Association, of course, Chris Chang, who everybody knows and loves. So, Chris, let's start with you. What was the catalyst, man? What made you guys start the organization?
Well, since I jumped into Second Amendment advocacy 10 years ago, I've always been sort of waiting for a moment like this where we have the right leaders stepping up in the community. And, the racist attacks against Asian Americans over the past year and a half has been sort of the unfortunate catalyst. But I think with the APAGOA leadership, we're going to see something really good, come out of all of this just hateful attacks. But we are really excited to form APAGOA and really focus on 3 pillars of safety, education, and community.
That's awesome. Let's talk about community. What's the plan? How do you organize the community, or how do you reach out to the community, or how do you build a community? How do you build an Asian Pacific American gun community in California?
Yeah, it's not just in California. This is definitely nationwide. And, I think at its very base, we want to create physical spaces, events, right, for Asian Americans and for allies as well. You don't have to be Asian American to join APAGOA. And so the leadership team has a number of great ideas and great events coming down the pipeline, everything from, live fire, training sessions, social events, networking events, and, bringing Asian Americans. And again, it's Americans from all walks of life and different races and backgrounds who want to come and meet like-minded people who support gun ownership. And, so I don't want to let too much of the details out so I can let the leadership, talk more about it. But I'm really honored to be on the board, and I'm an official advisor for the group, and it's just going to be a really, really great time seeing APAGOA start up in 2021 here.
So, Patrick, what made you get fired up about this idea?
So this was something that for me started in March, and I was just out with my brother-in-law, some of his friends, just shooting, and I came out of that, and it was just a great experience, just hanging out with some friends. And like Chris said, there's a lot of stuff that's happening around that time. The Atlanta shootings were happening, lots of reports of anti-Asian violence and hate crimes, and on top of that, just increased gun purchases, just in general, and also increased gun purchases from Asian Americans. that was also around the time in March where Chris Chang was speaking at the Senate hearing, Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, and all this stuff was just floating around my head. And one day something just clicked. I thought, hey, there should be a group for Asian American, Asian Pacific American gun owners. And originally it started kind of like a question, like, shouldn't there be a group that exists like this? Because it seems like such a common sense thing. And, just some group where we just had others like my brother-in-law and his friends to just hang out with. I started looking around, and I was kind of surprised that I didn't see any group like that already existed. And at some point, the idea of a nonprofit and an educational group just got stuck in my head. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Especially with these new gun owners that are purchasing firearms out of fear, out of a need to feel safe from everything that's going on. To me, it felt important to see if I could help provide some educational resources to those folks.
So, Amy, why is it important? Why is it's the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association. Why is it important to have an Asian Pacific American organization? Like, why didn't everybody just say, hey, you know what, we're going to get involved with the NRA? What's the advantage of having the I almost said APAGO. I don't want to get yelled at. Of the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association.
I think specifically for the Asian Pacific American community, there are a lot of cultural differences within the community that I think are important for Asian people to identify with. So, an example of that is like just the language barrier in itself. Within the Asian culture, there's many different Asian languages that are spoken, and a lot of Asians that are in the United States don't speak English as a first language, for example. And so I think having a sense of community and a place where they can identify with the people within that organization, such as APAGOA, will make it easier for them to find the resources and information that they're seeking, especially as new gun owners.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's very well put. Melissa, what do you like best about the organization?
The name.
I'm still struggling with that long name, but I'll get used to it. What I think that attracted me to this is that they're directly trying to help out the Asian Pacific American community. We've also created ways for us to communicate better with people with language barriers, because a lot of people don't speak English, and maybe that's the reason why they're not, an outspoken gun owner, because it's a huge language barrier. So in that, we have created the 4 rules of gun safety, but we've actually had it translated to, Tagalog and Chinese and Japanese so far. So, and we're going to have more resources for other languages as well as time goes on.
So say all of them in all 4 languages.
Yeah, you were putting me on the spot. How dare you?
So, Chris, what's the stereotype? When it comes to the Asian American community and guns, what's the typical stereotype that you run into?
Yeah, I think the stereotype is that Asian Americans are not gun owners, which is the farthest thing from the truth. And so the whole point of APAGOA is to normalize gun ownership within the Asian Pacific American community. And, like most people, we want to see people who look like us and who look like us that are engaging in, all sorts of fun, recreational, responsible, lawful activity like, owning a gun and exercising our Second Amendment rights. And I think there's been this latent, I don't want to say, I guess a latent interest in firearm ownership within the Asian Pacific American community that I think we're really starting to see it take off, especially over the past year and a half or two. And so, again, APAGOA, we want to be that sort of central place where Asian Americans can come and, train, build the community, ask all those great questions about, what caliber is best, 9 or 45, and what holster should I get for my pistol. And so I've got to take off. I'm actually at a 4th of July parade here with my family
Sure.
But I just wanted to say that I'm really proud and honored to be working alongside the APA GOA leadership. And 2021's already been a great year, and the team has a lot of exciting things to come.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. We're going to continue talking about this, but thanks for calling in. Thanks for being a friend of the show, Chris, and go celebrate beating up on the British. I think it's important.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on today, and happy Independence Day, everybody.
Yeah. So, Patrick, what's the first big thing you guys are going to do?
So the 4 rules translated, that was actually one of our big things. Like we talked about, having some of these translations, something to help break that language barrier is something that does differentiate us from some of the other groups that are out there. One of the other things, that we're talking about is this focus on safety education and community. So we have a lot of ideas for these different programs. So safety programs to promote safe and responsible storage and usage of firearms. With our education programs, we're again focused on these translated educational and training resources. And then Chris talked a little bit about our community programs, where we'll create opportunities for members and supporters to engage with each other. Melissa, I know you had something specific that you wanted to talk about that was coming up. I don't know if you wanted to break that news now.
Let's see. So
We have breaking news?
More breaking news.
All right, there you go. Now.
Okay, now I can start. So the APA GOA team will be attending the NRA annual meeting in Houston, September 3rd through the 5th. And
Hey, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then we are planning to host a training event so people can learn how to use their gun safely in the Bay Area. The date it's going to be free to the community, completely free, and we have some amazing trainers from the Bay Area, including Amy is going to be there. Chris Chang is actually going to be training as well. It's going to be in the Bay Area, and we do not have a time or date yet. It's going to be set. So, if you would like to participate in this Bay Area free firearms training, please go to our website, apagoa.org, and sign up for our emails to keep yourself posted.
All right, that music either was for you or it means it's continuing from our last segment. We've got Amy Dillon, Patrick Lopez, and Melissa Lee talking about the Asia Pacific American Gun Owners.
Chris said something interesting. He said that just now. He said that you wanted to put together an organization where people could learn from people who looked like them, and that's something that was that I really kind of connected with recently. And I don't know if this is a dumb story or not, but it wasn't something I could relate to. I kind of thought, well, why does that matter? Why does it matter if someone looks like me or whatever, And when you're as handsome as I am, it's hard for anyone to, you know what I mean? So, but the reality is, I kind of get it. I was thinking about it the other day. I was really into boxing in the 90s when I was in high school. I was really into it. And the 90s was the heyday of boxing. I mean, there were a ton, looking back, there were a ton of really great guys. Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis and, all these really great guys. You know who my favorite boxer was? Not Rocky. I mean real life, Melissa. My favorite boxer. Any guesses?
Muhammad Ali.
Tommy Morrison. Why was Tommy Morrison my favorite boxer?
Why?
Because he was a white guy. And I didn't really realize it. But looking at Tom, I was like, hey, this is someone I can relate to. This is someone, if he did it, I could probably do it. Not that I didn't like Tyson. I thought that guy was
he'll bite you.
He was amazing. He was amazing boxer, still is. And Tommy Morrison, by the way, went way downhill. But I get it. I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Tell Amy, you're nodding your head. Talk a little bit more about that. The idea of a group where people just simply look more like you do.
Well, I just think that, just from a personal story, I remember seeing, because I've been in the firearms industry for about 10 years now, and I never felt the need to find someone that looked like me. So it never crossed my mind to form or to look for an Asian, a specific Asian Pacific American group. But now that I'm in it, and now that it's been, especially with the last year, hearing and seeing a lot of violence in the media against Asian Americans, I remember seeing a story about a man who his face was slashed for no reason, aside from the way he looked in a New York subway. And I remember telling my fiance when I was reading the story, like, this man looks like my uncle. And it just made me think about my family and, like, my mom, for example, who doesn't own a gun, doesn't carry. But where would she go and feel comfortable learning about firearm safety?
Yeah.
You know, so it's those instances, and especially the last couple incidents where we've seen elder Americans who happen to be Asian American, Asian Pacific American. You know, I thought about where would a person who wouldn't have the same channels that they think is available to them, where would they go to seek the resources?
Right.
So,
It's just a connection.
Exactly. The connection. And connection is, I mean, everything we do is formed with connections.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like I didn't like, because of, it's just that was a connection. Hey, you know what? There's something that Tommy Morrison and I have in common.
You can identify with that
Can
person.
identify with
Right.
that person. I mean, my favorite football player was Lawrence Taylor, which, by the way, I'm starting to see a trend with some of my favorite sports players. They all took a huge nosedive.
My
Jeez.
favorite boxer is Manny Pacquiao, and it's because he's
There you go.
Filipino.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Now, so you were in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
Did you ever train with any foreign militaries?
Oh, yeah, we did all the time.
So one thing I've noticed is you guys are promoting the 4 universal rules, which is great. I think it's a very American thing. I've noticed that even foreign trained people, those 4 universal rules aren't really all that universal. They're more like 4 American rules. The foreign people that have been in foreign militaries, they don't know those rules, and they are nowhere near as safe.
Well, it's, American culture. We're the only country in the world where its citizens have the right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah.
And so I think that plays a huge role in the messaging when it comes to firearm safety and ownership.
Have you noticed that, though, when you were training with foreign militaries, you get muzzled more?
Oh, yes. I've got stories for days. I don't think we have enough time. But actually, no, I'm all kidding aside. I did notice a big difference with foreign military firearms training versus, I mean, there's a reason why the United States forces are the ones that go and train foreign military when it comes to training. I mean, and there's a lot of places where I've spent training foreign military because they've specifically sought out the United States to train with.
We're the best. We're the best
Exactly.
with guns. Just ask the British on the 4th of July here, right? Bunch of drunken squirrel hunters beat the crap out of the entire British military because we knew how to shoot.
Dressed in red.
That's right.
Not hard to hit.
So we also have, Melissa, we have somebody on the line. You want to introduce?
Yes. On the line we have Vincent, who is our director of community. You there, Vincent?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Vincent, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So talk to us about the Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association. What's your number one priority in your role?
Number one priority is to engage with the community, build the community aspect of the organization. So I would like to think of the organization kind of from a high level as we are simultaneously a resource where, people don't have to even interact with us before they, learn something from us or find a resource on our website or, whatever have you, right? So providing a resource. And then the second part is providing a community, as was just discussed.
So how do you do that, Vincent? How are you going to reach out to the Asian American community? How do you I was going to say, how do you target the Asian? You probably don't want to. No pun intended. But how do you focus on? There, that's better. How do you focus on the Asian American community?
Yeah, good question. That's
the challenge, right?
It is a challenge, right? Finding people who don't know that they want to find you.
Wow.
And, that's something that we're figuring out along the way, but also it's through this kind of, making connections, right? This kind of networking and getting to know, building an initial community and then building out from there, asking community members, hey, like, how can we branch out to this particular community? You know, what kind of materials or content would be, you know, particularly engaging for that subgroup? Right?
Yeah. And, hey, sorry, this is Patrick. So, you know, the Asian community is diverse, like we talked about, and reaching out to them is something that we're trying to do with events like this. You know, being somewhere where you know, we're getting media attention, reaching out to our networks. It's you know, this is really more than individuals, but it's amazing to me to have the support of people like Chris, people like Amy, people like Melissa, people that are in the industry. And we're just starting out. This was an idea in my head in March. Here we are 4 months later, you know, on the radio. It's amazing. We're just getting started. Like we're really trying to you know, push our message, connect with others to help spread the word, and that's really how we want to try to reach the community. You know,
but the idea is, I'm you know, from my perspective, correct me if I'm wrong here. The idea is you want to read far fewer stories about Asian Americans being attacked and far more stories about Asian Americans being trained and armed and defending themselves.
Exactly.
right,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right.
I think that's a worthy goal. I think that's an awesome, you guys are off to an awesome start. And again, that's a very, very worthy goal. And yeah, so are you going to focus in California? I mean, how do you can't focus on all 50 states. So what, you know, what's that look like? Do you have a single state plan and a 50 state plan, or what do you think?
We have a lot of.
Well, you have a motorhome, so you can focus on the whole country.
I'm the official travel. No, we actually have a lot of long-term goals, and we've been meeting since Patrick founded the foundation. We've been meeting every couple weeks, it seems, every two, you know, weekly. In the beginning, we were meeting every week to talk about how we're going to grow the community. Setting up the website was very important because that was going to be the focal point of where our members can get in touch with us. We've actually, even without any advertising, we've had a lot of media outlets contact us already. And so that's been really awesome. We've been very well received. The feedback we're getting, just like you were saying, you know, this is much needed. We're excited to be a part of it. Chris also, he was profiled in Recoil magazine, I think last month, and he mentioned us, so we've got a lot of hits on our website from that article.
Recoil's the best.
They're a
Those
really
guys
great
are so
partners to
supportive.
have,
Mark
right?
Hahn and John Schwartzy, great guys.
And you know, and even with just the individual things that, for example, Chris, myself, Melissa, that we do within the industry, that we try to take an opportunity to always share about APAGOA. And so for any of the listeners, apagoa.org is where you can find more information about us and even get in touch with us there.
And donate? Can we donate to you guys yet, or how does that work?
We're working
We're
on
working
it.
on that.
Yeah,
That's
we're
okay.
working on it.
All right.
Yeah, we're brand new. But, you know, definitely we can't say, hey, we're going to, you know, right from the start say we're going to be everywhere in the U.S. for every type of firearms owner. We've got to start somewhere. You know, the folks that are here today, we're from California, so it's, you know, a little bit easier for us to start here, but we're not saying, hey, we're just California. We really are looking ahead.
Awesome.
And if you can be successful in California, you can be successful anywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
So you're
exactly.
starting in the right state. Trust
Right.
me.
Right.
All right, folks. This is. Oh, don't forget. Now I.
Now
can
you
say
got
it.
the right outro.
And it still makes no sense. But next in studio with Shaky Dave to talk about competing in the shooting sport with
A
Parkinson.
lot of people might think that it would be impossible to handle a gun, let alone compete in the shooting sports with Parkinson's disease. In studio is David Smith, a.k.a. Shaky Dave, to talk about it. Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.